When we end a relationship with someone, most of us feel the wool has been pulled out from under us and we lose a part of ourselves. When we feel like we found the love of our lives, we were starting to see a future with them, and we were building ideas in our minds about how our life was going to look with them, to have all that stop suddenly without another plan in place makes us feel incredibly weak and vulnerable. If you lost the person you love most in the world and have to start all over again, here's a few tips for getting back on track. You've got to give yourself some time to grieve. And research by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross has shown that the best way to overcome loss is to go through the natural grieving process. Knowing what these stages are can help you feel like you're moving forward. And it's super important not to rush the stages or to allow others to tell you you've been mourning for too long. There are 7 stages of the grieving process, and they're as follows. The first is shock and denial. And even if you saw it coming, it's always shocking when a relationship comes to a sudden end. When the relationship finally ends, the first feeling is numbness, feeling like you're not yourself. And the natural reaction is shock and to deny that anything is really happening. To try to run away from this as much as possible is a natural reaction, and this usually lasts for a few weeks. The second is pain and guilt. When the shock finally wears off, all we're left with is pain, and this pain is usually excruciating. While it starts out as emotional pain, it often manifests physically, and many of us have a tendency to want to escape from this pain. It's super important to feel the pain and learn as much as you can from the experience. By going to therapy and working through the pain at this point, you'll have the best chance of recovering well and either making better choices or find new ways of being in a relationship. It's about growing from the experience, and if we allow ourselves to experience the pain, we're definitely going to grow from it. Guilt can keep us in a holding pattern, and when we give into guilt, we get caught in a spiral of feeling that we didn't really do things well enough, and all the should-haves pop up. If we stay with the guilt for too long, it'll consume us. Many of us need to unhinge ourselves from this guilt. We need help with that. So we need to release feelings of guilt in order to move forward. Otherwise, guilt will just hold us back. The third is anger and bargaining, and this is where pent-up frustration comes in. You may start blaming people and circumstances around you. You might want to make sure that you don't let your anger out on others, or you're going to just lose more relationships. Bargaining is where you might say things like, if I just lose 10 pounds, maybe he'll be back and want me, or if I just became more successful, or take on a new habit, or find another replacement partner, maybe that the first one will want me back. All these are not good ideas, and they're more likely to be done in vain. If you really want to be a healthier, better you, make these changes for you, not for the purpose of getting an ex back. The fourth stage is depression, reflection, and loneliness. And this is when your friends and family think enough is enough, you should be able to move on already, and they may try to talk you out of feeling this sadness. And this is a time when it's most important to feel what you're feeling and to feel that full impact. It's a good opportunity to be alone in a good way, so you could feel the sadness. You want to feel into this sadness. Emptiness and despair will come in too. And this is a time to really lean in on good supports. The fifth is the upward turn. As you've hit the bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. If you've been through these stages of grief, then you could actually look forward to the wounds healing and starting to consider moving forward. Calmness and better organization should be returning to your life, and you're going to start to feel a lot more normal now. The sixth is reconstruction and working through. And this is the time where your rational thinking is more likely to be back online, and you can plan out what you need from a future relationship. It's a great opportunity to reflect on how much you've lost of yourself in the last relationship so you don't make similar mistakes. You could take stock of what you might do differently so you understand what made you choose the last partner, and make sure you aren't choosing partners who are unhealthy for you based on having an avoidant or ambivalent attachment style. This is something I'm going to discuss in a future video. But this stage is also the important time when you want to really understand what your needs are now from a relationship, to make sure that you either meet them for yourself or find someone who could support you in meeting these needs going forward. The seventh stage is acceptance and hope. By accepting what's happened, not necessarily being thrilled about it, but being okay with it, you can now start to feel more hopeful and maybe even feel optimism as you look towards the future. I've worked with many clients who've been stuck at various points in the grief model, and they were dating people who were either wrong for them or who were recreating similar unhelpful scenarios they were in previously. Once we worked through whatever stage they were stuck at, they were then able to push through. Just recently, I worked with a woman who was grieving the loss of her mother, who had passed away, and her father, who had abandoned her around the same time out of his own grief. She found that when she dated, she chose men who were actually very controlling and, funnily enough, very similar to her dad. By becoming aware of this, she was able to turn things around and communicate to men in a way that showed them she wasn't going to be controlled. So she was able to choose a man who would not only accept but even appreciate her assertiveness and her confidence. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, remember, the biggest compliment you can pay me is a like. And if you found this video helpful or know someone who may find this helpful, please share the goodness, and remember to hit subscribe and click the little bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video, so you won't miss out. If you'd like to get in touch with me, see the link below.